Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Happy Monday, sports fans, Sports Hounds, HD Radio, live from the Real Talk Studios. Brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, certified accountants. With me as usual, sporting his Giants gear after a big win yesterday, Mr. Brad Ryer. Frank the Tank Vesby back on the ones and twos.
Glad to be back.
Ralphie did a good job.
He did.
Hey,
Ralph is a...
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Okay. Yeah.
He did a good job. You better not be absent too many more times. You might be out of a job.
No.
He could get Wally pipped.
Yeah, Ralph does a good job. I mean, especially teaching him up after 2 months. So he's been on fleek recently. So great job, Ralph.
Your college knowledge though is second to none. So
yeah.
Well, let's get right into it.
There we go.
20-16. Eagles back in the win column. Carson Wentz, a little rusty, played good enough. I don't understand why there's concern, outrage by the fan base.
They didn't win by 30 points.
Okay,
everybody expects them to win by 20 to 30 points every week against everybody.
But the Colts aren't a good team, but they still have players. You're not going to beat the Colts by 40 to 13. I think they're a better team than that.
Listen, based on what they did to Washington last week and based on what Washington did to Green Bay yesterday, the Colts aren't that bad.
Not at all. What do you think? Is 7-9 team maybe?
Yeah, that's about right. But 7-9 means basically you're competitive almost every game.
Right, which they've been in every game through
but
three.
But you just you can't win the close games, and you find ways to lose games that you should win. That's a 7-9 team.
But let's just look at it. I mean, you're doing you have a third and fourth string running back committee. You have no Alshon Jeffrey, Mike Wallace, who was supposed to be so much better than Torrey Smith, which I never really bought. He's injured. He broke his fibula, ankle, whatever you want to call it. He's out for the year. Jordan Matthews played snaps yesterday. He wasn't even on the team against Tampa Bay. So,
but Jordan Matthews was perfect on all of his pass attempts, 2 for 2.
Jordan Matthews passed the ball?
No, with receptions.
Oh, okay.
Because I know everybody gets on Jordan Matthews saying that he drops the ball.
He does drop the ball.
He does drop the ball, but most of the time Jordan Matthews played with 9 fingers. He could not catch with basically with hand and wrist problems.
No,
but
he's got.
Yeah.
He's like Hot Hands from Little Giants. He's got to imagine his toilet paper maybe or something like that. Then he can catch it. But and then you look at this defense. I thought Jalen Mills bounced back. I thought I would like to have seen a little bit more pressure from the defensive line on Andrew Luck.
Yeah, they only had 2 sacks yesterday.
But they pressured him in the final play on 4th and 3. Derek Barnett got a sack. He got in there. So, for those of you complaining about the special teams, Darren Sproles was inactive yesterday. He's one of the best punt returners of all time. So, if you want to get on Howie and the Eagles front office for not having a backup punt returner, seriously, get a life. Go kick rocks. Go pound sand. I know Clement looked shaky back there, but Sproles will be back, and the special teams will be fine. And Jake Elliott missed a 55-yarder yesterday.
We have F. Deem saying Jalen Mills did well without the penalties, and Khalid, here, I remember the over-under, Frank, was 5.
Yeah.
Well, I got my first insult. Take that jersey off from Khalid. So, as I said, the over-under is 5, and the smart money is on the over.
There we go.
Yes, I'm not going to take
We got to have a counter somewhere. every time Brad gets insulted by wearing a Giants jersey.
Yeah, well, as I said, the over-under was 5, but it could hit double digits.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
There's
surprised.
There's always the chance.
And speaking of Jalen Mills, I thought Jalen Mills played a very good game.
He
yesterday.
did.
It bounced back.
Despite some of those pass interference calls, he played a very strong game.
First off,
He held his targets
were
down.
the one I could see.
Yeah.
The one was really bad. The second one was, I thought, really bad. But he got called for penalties both times because Andrew Luck didn't have the arm strength to lead T.Y. Hilton down the field. T.Y. Hilton had to come back for an underthrown ball, initiated contact with Jalen Mills, and the refs are going to call that every time. That's just the kind of NFL that we live in.
Right now, that's true. Listen, for most intents and purposes, the Colts could not run the ball at all yesterday. If it wasn't for one run by Andrew Luck, I mean, they really had absolutely no running game. T.Y. Hilton really was not a factor.
And
I mean,
that was the key point there, because
the
that's
Colts
basically
didn't
the
do-
entire Colts receiving core, other
Yeah.
than Eric Ebron, who's spotty at best.
He's
They
like 100 years old.
they limited both Ty and Ebron, and they got the job done with limiting
Look,
those
it was
two top receivers.
Look, it was a professional type of win.
Yep.
Was it a slaughter? No, but I mean, you don't get credit for style points; you get credit for the W's. And the
Yep.
Eagles, with a workmanship-like win, the defense basically stifled the Colts, and really the Colts, when they really needed to move the football, couldn't really do it. I mean, really most of the points they scored was because they ended up having some good field position a couple of times and were able to get 1 or 2 first downs, and then but that was about it. I mean, they really didn't do much at all yesterday offensively. What do they have? Did they have even 200 yards offensively? Total offense?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I don't have the final stat line on me.
I mean, as I said, other than that 1 30-yard run by Luck, I mean, their offense was negligible for the most part.
And Carson threw an awful pick, which led to 3 of their points.
Yeah.
Well, as I said,
terrible pick. He was a little rusty.
They had some field position, the Colts, and that's why they were able to get some field goals. But other than that, I mean, the Eagles' defense dominated that game. They kept the Colts out of the end zone. The Eagles, when they had to do what they had, they did what they had to do. And as Wentz plays more, he's going to get sharper.
And you can easily tell that Carson Wentz is coming off a major knee injury because his legs and his speed and his quickness and his agility are not back yet. Some of those sacks that the Colts got on him this time last year, if Carson Wentz was in the same position, Carson Wentz would be off and running, and he wouldn't have gotten sacked.
Or he would have just escaped. And that, it makes a big difference. Listen, it's going to take a good 3-4 games before you see him really back totally in the swing of things. He was out a long time.
And, the running game is going to be – that's what the running game is going to be if Jay Ajayi's not in there.
Right.
That's
Or
what it's
you
gonna
lose
be.
your Darren Sproles. You gotta work what you got to have, and and Clement definitely wants more touches. You could tell he wants more touches in that as the season progresses.
And I'll tell you what, I think that there's going to be some trades going on before the NFL trade deadline this year.
Yeah.
I think you're going to start seeing a little bit more of that because usually, historically, there's not much trading going on in the NFL.
Not as much.
No, not as much. But I think you might say. I mean, I think it's reached a point now with Le'Veon Bell. I believe I heard Pittsburgh is now taking offers.
They are taking offers. Yeah.
Jets might trade him.
Yeah.
Or the Jets look to be the front runners.
I would not be surprised if the Jets land
I'm kicking
Bell.
the tires if I'm Howie Roseman.
Yeah, that'll be tough. I'm
Absolutely.
tempted. I'm tempted to see what the Steelers will offer for
Look,
Le'Veon.
we talked about it last week when you were absent.
All right.
I think the Steelers would be foolish not to trade him.
Right.
Clearly, there's too much has gone on for that to be mended, and the Steelers have James Conner, who's playing
Lights
really,
out.
really well.
And they obviously don't want to pay. The only problem I have right
It's
now
not
is
flawed
it doesn't
logic.
look
It's
like
not flawed logic.
To play,
You
not,
trade him.
not pay a running back.
Yeah.
he doesn't look, from what I've heard, everybody's saying that he doesn't look like he's in shape right now.
Well,
Le'Veon?
That would
he
be-
held out last year and didn't come. He's going to get his numbers. He's just that much better than maybe every other running back besides Todd
He
Gurley.
is, and whoever gets him, is going to sign him to an
But
extension. So he's never going to hit free
There's
agency.
4 teams out there that make the most sense for Le'Veon Bell to get traded. And the criteria is it's got to be a team that has a good locker room and can win, and it's got to be a team that has a quarterback on a rookie contract.
and a team that has a lot of money next year to be able to afford him.
I mean, you find the money.
Yeah.
Well, for a guy like Le'Veon Bell, and I'm talking about the Jets, of course, the Jets are going to have almost $100 million next year to play
right,
with.
and the Jets fit the mold.
The Jets fit the mold. Young quarterback in Sam
Not
Darnold.
paying. The Eagles fit the mold.
Yeah.
They haven't extended Carson Wentz back.
The Browns might fit that mold too.
Maybe.
Maybe
that's one I
Cleveland.
overlooked.
They
Houston fits that mold.
Yeah.
well, they're
And
paying, but they're paying the receiver, aren't they?
D-Hop, yeah.
Aren't they paying him?
I think
that's
they're
fine.
paying
You're
him.
not paying Watson yet.
Yeah,
No,
Watson
that's
hasn't
true.
been paid
I'll
yet.
tell you what, the way Watson's played the first 3 games, you got to start wondering about him. He was not real good yesterday.
Yeah,
Until the Giants went into a prevent
That's
defense
erroneous.
in the second
Deshaun
half,
Watson
he really
is
wasn't.
Deshaun Watson is a winner. He's going to be fine. He's coming off an injury just like Wentz is.
He is, but he's played 3
getting
games.
back into
He's
it.
played 3 games now, though.
I
You
mean,
know.
okay. I also think that Bill O'Brien's a dope. So,
I'm not crazy about him as a coach either.
so I mean, we'll see if they can get a true offensive guru in there in Houston. I think that'll help Deshaun Watson. But you
And
got,
I'm not big on Lamar Miller either.
That's
Yeah,
why-
Bell
that's
definitely
why I
upgrade
would-
over Miller.
I
that's-
don't think he's. I don't
Bell's
think
an
he's all
upgrade
that.
for everyone
Yeah.
except the Rams.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Realistically,
honestly,
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's,
you got the Bucks, you got the
absolutely
Jets,
true.
you got the Eagles, you got the Texans. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the Browns, but I doubt that the Steelers are going to trade him within the division. That would
Yeah,
be
there's no way.
really-
I don't
that'd
think
be
Le'Veon will trade in
really
the division.
super
The
dumb.
Eagles, I'm very tempted. As much as I want to pull the trigger, I'm very worried about the cap hit Le'Veon might take. That's my one thing,
But-
especially the cap situation we've been in for the past 2 years. It'll be a miracle if Howie figures out some way to manage the cap
But he
when
has
acquiring Le'Veon.
but he has a ton of draft. But this is why we pay
we do
this is why
we do
pay
we do
Howie.
have 11 draft picks to play around
You have
with, which is
11
which is a good
draft
thing.
Bennett's off the books next year. Darby's off
Yeah.
the books next year.
Ajayi,
Ajayi's off the books next year. Foles will probably be off the books
and
next year.
a lot of the bad Chip Kelly contracts are probably going to be off the books as well. If I'm correct,
Kendricks
I know.
is gone.
Yeah, the Kendricks
And-
contracts.
I mean,
Yeah,
you saved $6.5 million. You saved $6.5 million with the Malcolm Jenkins restructuring.
yep.
Yeah, but this year to get him to fit him under your cap this year, I think he's on going to be on the books for $16 million for this year. Is that? I mean, that's.
I don't know. I'm not a cat.
I'm not a cap person,
It's
so-
pretty high. It's up there.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I mean, it's
maybe
not
you
gonna
trade
be
him
easy, but
maybe you trade him a player, an overpaid
Yeah.
player, and a draft pick for him. I don't know. I'm just saying. I would check in on it with the Eagles not paying Carson.
my question is, what do you think?
and if you tear up his,
What do you think
if you
it's going to take to get a guy like Le'Veon Bell?
a 2,
Yeah, because he's not going to get a 1.
2 and a 4. No, I wouldn't give a 1 for him.
No,
I would not
wouldn't
give
either.
a one.
Not for a running back.
No, not for one with wear on the tires. Plus, you're going to have to pay him.
Right, but you can also he's not going to be $16 million against the cap once you sign him to a new contract.
Well, how much do you think he's going to want a year?
It'll be less. It'll work out to less than $16 million a year.
I think he wants to be the highest paid player in.
He should be the highest paid running back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he.
The only two highest paid running backs I could see right now currently in the league are you, obviously Le'Veon, and Todd Gurley. Those
But
are
you could-
that's 1-2 right there,
Frank, you can
or 1A 1B right.
You can understand
Yeah.
Pittsburgh not paying him though.
Yeah.
I mean, they're paying Roethlisberger, and they're paying Antonio Brown.
Right.
I mean, there's only so much money they can invest in 3 players. They have to put a team on the field.
I know with the Steelers
And there
mentality
gets
of
to a
playing
point.
by position, you can't do that with one of the best running backs in the league. You got
They're in a
to
tough-
pay the man.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. Either
Yeah.
pay him or trade him, but don't keep him around and just make. I mean, obviously, there's a big distraction. I'll tell you what, the Steelers had better make sure they win that game tonight.
Oh yeah.
Because if they lose again,
Yeah, you gotta begin the.
yeah, I mean, you gotta wonder because especially their defense really has not been very good.
Yeah, defense is in shambles.
Yeah, I mean their defense was awful last year in the playoffs. They flat out lost.
Their defense is terrible.
Yeah, they flat out blew it against Jacksonville. Their defense blew it against the Browns.
And they walloped against Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas City walloped them. I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, and they're going to be facing a Tampa Bay team tonight, and Ryan Fitzpatrick right now is he's on fire right now.
Yeah.
And I mean, even guys like Deshaun Jackson want him to stay in the lineup over Winston, and I never thought I'd see that.
Winston has no chance of starting for that team once he's eligible, unless Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt. Anyway, kicking around the NFL here, big win by the Eagles. Scanzano Sports poll question today: what's the biggest surprise of week? What was the biggest surprise of week 3? We got the Patriots getting smoked by Detroit. We got the Vikings getting smoked at home against Buffalo. Carson Wentz scoring on his first touchdown drive. Get a little Eagles in there. And Patrick Mahomes keeps it up. And then
how about the game Eli Manning had yesterday?
What was he? 22 of 29.
25 of 29.
25 of 29. Yeah, the Giants needed that.
He had a spectacular game yesterday. That's one of the best games I've ever seen him play.
All right, let's get to the Facebook comments here. Chromo, what's up, fellas? You'd think it would be the Lions crushing over the Patriots, but absolutely has to be the disappearance of the Vikings on Sunday. I've said it all off season. I've said it through 3 weeks of the regular season. Kirk Cousins stinks.
You've been pretty consistent with that.
He's an absolute fraud. He's stealing money. $85 million guaranteed over the next 3 years for that. He's no better than Case Keenum. And guess what? He's 1-7 in primetime games in his career. Guess what they got on Thursday night against the Rams on the road? A primetime game.
They're going to get clobbered by the Rams.
I mean,
the Rams.
I'd like to think they'd show up a little better than they did at home against the stinky, dirty, rotten Buffalo Bills.
I think they're going to.
I think they're going to make a game of that just out of sheer pride, especially from that defense.
Well, I'll tell you what,
but the Rams are clicking. Like Jared Goff is 2,000 times better than Kirk Cousins. I can't believe how much he's respected to get an $85 million guaranteed contract over 3 years.
You know what I can't
believe? He's a complete
fraud. How much Jared Goff has improved from his rookie season to now.
Right. Well, he has Sean McVay.
Yeah,
Sean McVay, not Shane McVay.
I mean, he not only is this guy accurate, but I'll tell you what, the way he avoids the rush, the way he can break a tackle and scramble around and throw on the run. I mean, he made some really nice passes yesterday. I mean, the Rams right now, they seem like an embarrassment of riches with all the great players they have on their team.
They're really good. They did suffer some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib. Aqib Talib looks like he's going to be fine. Marcus Peters might be out a month, so that's a pretty big loss.
But it's only a month, though.
It's only a month, and that division stinks.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think
the Rams are thinking much more than just winning the division. I think they want to get the number 1 seed. I think that's probably.
I think they're well on their way. I mean, they're going to have a showdown with the Philadelphia Eagles in what is it, week like 12, 11?
Yeah, later
like
in the season.
At that point, Carson should be at full throttle.
Yeah.
The Eagles will have all their guys back, and that could be for the home field for the NFC Championship.
Pretty much, either at the Link or at the Coliseum.
Precisely.
It's going to be one of those two.
Precisely, and the Rams are starting to look like they get home field advantage matters to them.
David Roska, Rams will beat the Vikings. I kind of agree with that because Kirk Cousins is an absolute fraud.
Yeah, and that defense is going to be
Deion Brown.
Scary.
What's up, Deion? For me, the poll question, there really isn't any surprise for me because this is the NFL and every Sunday anything can happen. It's just the way it goes, but I will say the Dolphins being 3-0 is somewhat of a surprise. That's absolutely a surprise. I thought the Dolphins were going to be one of the worst teams.
Well, I thought they would be the other record, 0-3.
Yeah. think most of us.
They're going to
did.
go up to New England next week, so we're going to see.
That's a big test.
We're going to see what they're really made of, because
That's a big test for them.
they generally play the Pats kind of tough.
I mean that's going to be a big test
So
for them.
we'll see what happens there. For me, the poll question, it has to be Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
this guy,
I'm so glad I got him on my fantasy team, Pat Mahomes. He's been working wonders for me.
But guys, this guy, I mean, Carson Wentz, there's no doubt about it, was playing the best football of any quarterback before he got injured last year. I think Patrick Mahomes right now is playing better than Carson Wentz was during his run last year before his injury.
Well,
That's probably not going to be a
How
popular.
many touchdown passes did he have yesterday? I mean, I know it was
I think he had
35 to
4
7.
more.
It was
He's
35 to
he
7.
might have had 3.
And then the Chiefs kind of went to sleep and
This guy has a stronger arm than Carson Wentz. I'll tell you that. He moves better than Carson now because Carson is still recovering.
Yeah, he's got a cannon.
But boy, Andy Reid has one hell of a quarterback. By far the best quarterback he's ever had. The Chiefs are 3-0, and they mean absolute business in a weak AFC. Absolute business. And there's rumors now that they're in the mix to get Earl Thomas out of Seattle. If they get Earl Thomas out of Seattle and they have Eric Berry come back off injuries,
that would be
that's quite a back end
that'll
of the defense.
definitely catapult the Chiefs
I
into
kinda
a
like
favorable
the,
team in the AFC, hands down.
I kind of like the Earl Thomas interception yesterday, and then he walks over to the Dallas bench and bows.
How bad are they, Dallas?
It was laughable. It was hilarious, especially after I had a drink or two out after the game, just watching it at the bar, watching the Cowboys game. Everybody was just laughing at Dak falling on his ass. It was great. It was great watching the Cowboys lose again. I loved it.
Oh yeah, and the fact that Seattle, when they were running out the clock, Dallas couldn't stop them.
Oh yeah.
It just doesn't get better than that. And seeing them get smoked. I mean, listen, they played a good game against the Giants. The Giants looked awful that game.
Yeah.
The Giants looked a lot better yesterday. I got to tell you, benching Eric Flowers, to me, set a tone. And Chad Wheeler, he did have a rough day against J.J. Watt. I mean, J.J. Watt had 3 sacks, but you know what? He was out there playing his butt off, and he was not a turnstile. Yes, J.J. Watt beat him a couple of times, but for the most part, excuse me.
Whoa.
He did a nice job. Yeah, he did a nice job keeping him out, giving Eli some time, and Eli responded. For the first time this year, really, Eli had some time to throw the ball. He was able to look down his receivers. I mean, the last play when they scored the touchdown to Shepard, that play was actually meant for Odell Beckham. But he actually, and this is something that has not happened in Giant Land in a long time, he actually had enough time to look at Beckham, see that he was double teamed, and then actually have the time to scan across the field and see that he had a window for Shepard and threw the touchdown pass. And that was a huge play because I'll tell you what, last year Ben McAdoo would have played chicken football when they were at the 7 with 3rd down and goal. He would have probably run into the line, had 4th down. They would have kicked the field goal and had an 8-point lead. And then Giant fans would be praying to dear God that the Texans would not score the touchdown and kick the 2-point. I think scoring the touchdown would have been a foregone conclusion. You would just hope that they wouldn't have gotten the 2-point conversion.
And had McAdoo still be coaching, I bet his only explanation would be this. I
have to look at the tape. Yeah.
I typical McAdoo response.
Yeah, that would
looking at the tape.
But see, Shermer,
and other
the
McAdoo
difference
things.
is Shermer played to win yesterday.
Yeah.
And if you're a Giant fan, you got to like that. There was another nice day for Saquon Barkley. Made a real nice catch on the one pass that led to a touchdown. And the Giant defense creating 3 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and a fumble in the second half when the Texans were trying to come back. You got to give them a lot of credit. I mean, they hung in there, tough game on the road. For the Giants, no game is easy. Nothing can be ever taken for granted. The fact that they were able to win like that and put an exclamation point on the game by getting that final touchdown to seal it tells you that they're not going to be a pushover this year, and they're going to win some games. And if you play the Giants and you don't take them seriously, you're going to end up with a loss.
Guy Savory is the Vikings lost by far. David Roska's all about the Rams.
Of course.
Well, I agree with David when he says the Rams will beat the crap out of the Vikings. I have no doubt that that's going to.
Hunter Shannon checking in. What's up? How about them Eagles?
Happen.
Michael DeAndre. Dolphins 3-0. Unbelievable. Jets making a run as well. Patriots ship is sinking. What a great day. Let's hold the phone on the Patriots ship sinking. They're
well,
gonna
It's gonna happen.
You know what? They looked
Stop.
old and slow, and
just stop.
I don't know about Gronk, but
Just stop.
Gronk had a lot of trouble getting off the
Because he's
line
got three
yesterday.
guys on him every play.
Yeah, but they have nobody else to throw the ball to.
Right now,
Josh Gordon was out for the game as well.
Well, he has a hamstring
Yeah.
injury right now. I mean, that locker room and that culture there, he's gonna get Josh Gordon right. Josh Gordon is gonna explode on the scene with this team.
He better, because if he doesn't,
And I think you're forgetting that also Julian Edelman is suspended
Yep.
right now.
yeah, but he's not going to be back for another couple of weeks.
2 weeks. He'll be back.
He can play in Week 5.
Okay, if they lose Week 4, then the Dolphins are 4-0 and they're 1-3.
And
Well,
that's
so that's a
and
three-game-
that's
That's a 3-game lead.
And
That's
welcome to
AFC
Bizarro World in the
yes,
AFC.
the AFC absolutely stinks.
yeah, but
If you think the Patriots are finished and they're not going to make a run and be left out of the
I'm
playoffs,
not saying they're
you're
finished, but
sadly mistaken.
they looked very bad last night. The Lions just whooped up on them. It seemed like Stafford had all day to throw yesterday.
And the Patriots always get better as the season goes on. So
That's
I
true.
just laugh
think
at
they
these
were one
people
and-
that
I think they were 1-2 last year, were they not?
They were. They lost their opener to the Chiefs. They beat someone, and then Deshaun Watson went into Foxborough and won as a rookie,
Right.
which was
Right. So they
very
were 1-2.
impressive.
So they were 1-2. They were 1-2 last year.
And I
but
also remember them losing a home game early to the
they look.
Panthers.
They do look. They
if
look.
I'm not mistaken,
They look old though.
last year.
They looked old last night, and I'm wondering. I wouldn't count them out because you can't.
Okay,
But-
here's David Roska. The Jaguars should be 3-0. The Jaguars lost 9-6 to the Tennessee Titans, who aren't a good football team. The Eagles are going to play them next week. I don't think it's going to be a pushover game, but I would be completely shocked if the Eagles lost that game next week.
It's going to be a black
Can
and
we-
blue. It's going to be a black and
Can
blue
we stop?
game.
Can we stop with the Jaguars and the Vikings being better teams than the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, I
Just
don't know about
stop.
the Jaguars. The Jaguars'
Stop.
defense is better than the
Stop.
Eagles.
They scored 6 points against the Titans. Stop.
We'll see about the Titans.
The Jaguars are a good team. I think they're probably going to win the AFC West. I picked the Texans to win
I picked
the
the
AFC South.
I picked the Titans. So
I picked the Jaguars for a wild card team. But for people to say that the Jaguars are a better team than the Eagles right now, with Blake Bortles at the helm and scoring 6 points against the Titans, I don't
Well,
care
again,
if Leonard Fournette was out.
that's the problem.
6 points.
That's the problem.
And they're
with-
better than the Eagles.
That's the problem
6
with
points.
Jacksonville.
All right, sorry to interrupt
You
you,
can-
guys, but we are in the middle of the Monday Night Football game. Just got an update. Ben Roethlisberger threw an interception by Justin Evans of Tampa Bay.
Pick 6?
Not a pick six, but is a 2-yard interception, and Ryan Fitzpatrick just completed a pass to Mike Evans for 14 yards.
Nice. I need,
So far, 0-0 with about 9 minutes left in the first quarter.
I need Mike Evans and Juju
Smith-Schuster.
Smith-Schuster to outscore Jesse James by 32 points in my one league. That's doable.
It's doable.
PPR league.
Yeah.
But can we stop with the Vikings and the Jaguars and these teams better than the Eagles? Jaguars are not better than the Eagles. The Vikings are not better than the Eagles. They're not. Kirk Cousins is a fraud. Blake Bortles, I think he gets a bad rap, but he's not good.
No, Blake Bortles
And
is very inconsistent.
I don't
That's the
care.
problem.
I don't care that Leonard Fournette didn't play. You got to sack up and score more than 6 freaking points against the Tennessee Titans. I'm sorry. So spout your mouth off about how good the Jaguars are from top to bottom and how good their defense is, which it is good, but
Oh, their
Not-
defense is very good.
not better than the Eagles.
Their defense.
They're
is
not
very
better
good.
than the Eagles. 6 points. Well, all right, what's up, Giggle?
All right, so the infamous mascot Gritty made his debut. He just took a spill.
Gritty fell down.
Gritty fell.
Jesus God.
Gritty fell by means of a T-shirt cannon.
So wait, he was trying to shoot a T-shirt can.
Yeah, into the stands.
Can you get
Oh,
that
boy.
up on the in the Real Talk? Or
Yeah.
on Facebook so people can see it. Or we'll talk about the Flyers' new mascot.
Yeah, we'll get
Hunter
we'll get
Shannon.
to
Not
that.
surprised with the Pats, but I'm more surprised with the Vikings, Buffalo, or how about the Jags? Unbelievable. Keep an eye. Michael Cromo makes a good point. Keep an eye on Miami to be players for Bell and or Dez. 2-game lead over the Patriots in the division early. That's another team. I didn't think of the Dolphins being contenders for Bell. They're not paying a quarterback.
They're probably looking for a new quarterback at this point.
Tannehill played good yesterday.
Tannehill, I don't know about
against the
that. Now
Raiders.
with the 3-0, maybe Tannehill this
All right.
year he finally
All right, maybe.
he finally comes out and plays. I mean, who knows? We got SJM still supporting the Patriots. SJM also wants to give Matt Patricia some credit for that game last night.
He did. He schooled his mentor.
He did.
Yes, he did. He really
Surprisingly, he
schooled him
pulled
hard.
it off.
Well, you can't be that surprised that Detroit showed up to play
Yeah.
New England. I mean, you know that's if they still respect their coach, which obviously they do.
Yeah.
They'd come out flying, and they came out flying last night. By the way, how about the San Francisco 49ers? What a disaster that has turned into.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Garoppolo is in deep doo-doo with his knee. He probably is not going to play again.
Yeah, it's
they
out.
lose
It came
McKinnon.
out this afternoon. It officially tore his ACL. He's done.
McKinnon's out.
Jeez.
I mean, they're going to have Beathard again as the quarterback. I mean,
All right, here's a
they have
question.
6-10 written all over them.
Yeah.
If you're John Lynch and the San Francisco 49ers, are you making the call to Howie Roseman for Nick Foles?
No, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up draft picks for him. Not unless it's a 4th or a 5th, and the Eagles will probably want a 2nd or a 3rd. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't do that because I don't think Nick Foles. I think Nick Foles is the kind of quarterback that can drive the Cadillac, but he can't drive the Volkswagen. I wouldn't do that. I mean, there's one team that I could say to you really screwed up, and that's the Jets, because had they not traded Teddy Bridgewater, there's the team they could have traded Teddy Bridgewater to.
Yeah,
And,
that
what
is
the
true.
49ers may have been desperate enough to go out and really pay through the nose for a guy
Well,
like that.
C.J. Beathard's going to start for them. We saw C.J. Beathard last year. C.J. Beathard is terrible.
He's not good.
I remember Iowa in college, and I didn't think he was that good. I thought he was barely
He
good enough.
had one good year at Iowa, and that was it. Yeah.
I mean,
I liked him, but I just don't think it would have
it's not
been.
a breeding ground for
It's
gunslinging
not.
quarterbacks. Iowa.
No, that's more of a running football team.
Pretty much.
Most of the teams in the Big Ten are teams that like to run the ball, actually. The New Orleans Saints come back, and they knock
There's a
off the
big win
Atlanta
for the
Falcons.
Saints.
Saints are now 2-1. Looks like they've gotten past their opening game jitters, but their defense is still getting lit up, Rob.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that good. It's week 15, the Eagles versus the Rams in L.A. Chromo will be there. So
That'll be fun.
I'm sure the Eagles fan base will be well represented, just like they're going to be well represented this week in Nashville, like they were well represented in Tampa Bay in week 2.
Okay, and Bob comes up and says touchdown to Brate, so I guess the Bucks take an early lead. And also, Bob thinks that if the Browns were smart, they would offer Tyrod to the Niners.
That's something, too, because Baker, the touchdown maker, is in full swing. You can't not put him in after that game.
Oh, you
can't not.
He took the city of Cleveland by storm last week, and he looked real good.
And Christopher Estrite, what's up from Johnstown, PA? What's up, Johnstown, PA? What's up, Chris? Thanks for checking in. So we got Mahomes. We got the Dolphins 3-0. I mean, if the Steelers lose this game tonight, I mean,
0-2-1.
0-2-1. I mean,
0-2-1.
Jeez.
and I don't think that they would have I don't think they would have any more wins if Le'Veon Bell was in the
Yeah.
mix. Because Le'Veon Bell
doesn't tackle anybody.
he doesn't
And
play.
the Steelers aren't
play
playing
corner.
defense.
He doesn't play corner
No. Or safety.
or linebacker anywhere on defense. So I mean, we'll see how the game plays out tonight. But Bell isn't helping the Steelers right now. Giving him a fat contract and making him happy isn't going to translate into wins for the Steelers because they can't play defense. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah, and I picked New England. We could both be
New
Dead
England will
wrong
be
there.
fine. The Steelers, I'm not so sure about. Steelers, I'm really not so sure about the Steelers. They really need to win tonight.
I would be worried about the Steelers. And the way the role that Tampa Bay is on right now, I mean, they could score 30, 40 points tonight against the Steelers. I mean, do you think that that's not absolutely going to be the case? The way the Steelers have been playing defense, I mean, they could listen. Tampa Bay has some playmakers on their team between Evans, Jackson, Safarian Jenkins. They got some guys on that team that can go up. I'm not Safarian Jenkins. I'm saying O.J. Howard. They got some guys that can go up and down the field. That is a good offensive football team.
Yeah, and they have no running game, so they're going to be chucking.
But
Chris Goodwin, Penn State, is a good receiver. Evans is an obvious stud. Jackson, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate has a touchdown.
The one thing that their running backs do well, though, is catch the ball.
I mean,
that's the one thing they do well. And I mean, the Steelers have no secondary. Steelers are in trouble.
Chromo says the Steelers look lost. Flubbed handoff between Big Ben and Connor. So I mean, oh well.
Yeah, they're
It's an east side. It's the east side of the state's time now. The
yeah,
west side has gotten.
I think they've had it.
Well, we have to thank the Steelers for actually inventing football, so we could.
Oh, is that?
Well, just ask their fans.
Oh, so before the Super Bowl, I guess football wasn't really football.
No.
Is that?
Not according to Pittsburgh Steelers fans. No.
Oh, okay. So
No.
Jim Brown didn't exist. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not telling you anything. I am telling you what Steelers fans think.
Oh, okay. So Steeler fans think Jim Brown didn't exist.
I am the messenger.
And,
You are killing the messenger, Brad, and
Okay,
that's not fair and it's not right.
Okay, I apologize. SJM says Tampa Bay is riding the wave. They're talented, but they will come back down to earth. Yeah, they probably will, but they could end up being 5 or 6-0 by the time they come back down to earth. Which if they can get to that point, will probably put them in the playoffs. Obviously, beating the Saints in New Orleans, if they can knock off Atlanta,
Which I don't think Atlanta
Atlanta
is looking
looks-
good
Atlanta
at all.
looks-
They have multiple season-ending injuries on their defense.
Atlanta looks very vulnerable. I think they're done.
I don't know how many times the Eagles could have gift wrapped that game on opening night for them, and they just couldn't
They couldn't
take
get the
advantage
ball.
of it at
Their
all.
red zone.
How can Calvin
offenses-
Ridley? Calvin Ridley had 3 touchdowns on Sunday. He's a rookie. Julio Jones has 3 touchdowns in his last 19 games. How can you not be able to get Julio Jones the football in the red zone? I don't.
I don't
I don't understand.
I mean,
He's not a
that's gotta
small
be,
receiver.
That's you got to ask Matt Ryan.
He's a
what the
physical
heck's going on-
specimen.
What's going on there? And Matt Ryan yesterday, I think he takes a few hits because you know what, Atlanta had a chance to move the ball down. They were, I think, with like a minute to go in the game, Atlanta was on the 45-yard line, I believe. Their own 45. They needed maybe 20 or 30 yards to get into field goal range, and Matt Ryan could not get a first down.
Yeah.
And they ended up having to punt the ball. I mean, that's terrible.
I mean, it looks like we're going to have a barn burner here on Monday night because the Steelers have already responded.
Hooray!
Vance McDonald, a 75-yard touchdown. Chris Boswell missed the extra point, so it's 7-6. Tampa
yeah,
Bay.
but the fact that they got a touchdown and they're back in the game.
Well, their offense hasn't been a problem at all,
No,
even
it
without
hasn't.
Bell.
It hasn't.
Because
Their defense is the problem.
Smith-Schuster is a stud receiver. He's proving he can play, and he wasn't a one-year wonder last year.
Oh, they've got.
Antonio Brown is.
They've got talent on offense.
James Conner. They have 2 tight ends that can really play.
Their offensive line is
Pretty good. So
Yeah,
they
Big
need to
Ben is
figure out
still
how
good.
they need to figure out how to stop people. They got to win tonight. Got to win tonight. Frank,
Yeah.
you mentioned it earlier
Yep.
in the broadcast. The Philadelphia Flyers have decided to dive in to the mascot game.
Yeah.
This thing,
Yeah.
his name is Gritty.
Gritty.
which, I mean, you can't make it.
Yeah.
You can't find like a more Philadelphia term. I mean, I feel like that's
I thought John would have been the name.
who?
John. Like,
John
yeah, like typical Philly slang.
Yeah.
John.
drawing.
John. John the thing, whatever it is.
Yeah, drawing.
What is that, John? Oh, it's John.
Yeah, John the John.
John the John.
It's not, but I mean, not a fan. I mean,
That thing looks like the missing link.
I mean,
Yeah.
can he play goalie?
I mean, he's big enough to play goalie. His official stat is he's officially 7 foot tall.
Yeah.
So he could definitely play goalie. He has a wide enough stomach.
7'5", 530
Yeah.
pounds, like Andre the Giant.
Pretty much.
Because he's
Yeah.
Oscar the Grouch's orange cousin from
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
I mean, knowing what I do on the side, I'm not going to say which things I do, but I've been associated with mascots for years, and a lot of and from what I was hearing from the grapevine was basically nearly exact to what the actual costume was going to be. It was just like, how is it going to be executed? And some people thought, oh, he was going to, like, a lot of people thought he was going to resemble more of your prototypical Broad Street bully. That was the idea I was getting.
And what would that look like? How do you
That was the tough part.
How do you creaturize, if that's even a word,
Right.
the Broad Street bullies?
I mean,
You have a guy with you have a big tough guy with some
Yeah.
scars on his face.
missing teeth, which
Yeah.
you could have used as your sight line.
yeah,
I can't believe I'm talking mascot costumes on H2D Radio. This is great. But you know, you could have done
Nothing's out
so
of
many.
bounds.
I know nothing's out of bounds. Like
no notes.
the concept is there. I get what they're trying to do, but I think the execution it's a little too hokey for me. And I think whoever the guy who plays it, great guy. I've worked with him on a couple occasions before. I've seen his stuff on social media.
I mean, that's a costume. That's not a real thing that they found.
It's a costume. That is a $20-something plus $1,000 costume.
Oh boy.
With all the extra features, it's probably up to $30,000. And that thing looks like it's hard to
And
maintain.
then he made his debut
That's a
tonight.
lot of money for. Oh boy.
He
whatever.
made his debut tonight, and he took a tumble.
Took a tumble.
Took a tumble.
But
what did he say he was doing? He's shooting the
t-shirt cannon
He was shooting the t-shirt cannon and fell over.
fell over.
That's
I think
like the
because
only-
the amount of the pressure.
That's the only thing you
Yeah.
need to know how to do if you're a mascot is work the t-shirt gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
but
you have to do it in skate too. And if he's
Yeah.
not a good skater, then that.
you have to do it with skates, and plus you have to think about how much pressure you got to put in the t-shirt cannon, because those things are heavy to carry around, especially when you have to aim it up to the 300 levels. It's really tough, and you have to aim it right. You got to pressurize it right to where it goes that far, but not injuring fans to avoid a lawsuit.
You know the Sixers thing where they put in it's like a Gatling gun.
Yeah, like a Gatling gun.
They put 8 of them in, and they
Yeah.
pull the thing,
Yeah.
shoots out 8 of them at a time.
Yeah.
See, that's what the Sixers figured out
Yeah.
about when they
With
were
Franklin. Yeah.
when they were tanking. They really focused on all the graphics that they do pregame and the video packages.
Oh, yeah.
They really instead of winning games, they got that down.
Yeah.
Franklin is a character of a mascot.
I just love how a lot of the hate for Franklin has died out. I loved it. Like
I've always thought Franklin.
I love
was
Franklin.
Extremely
I love Frank.
entertaining.
I remember when they were trying to decide the mascots. Like, all right, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do Ben Franklin? Are we gonna do a dog?
Yeah,
are we gonna do a moose? And
What is-
everybody's
is that
freaking
what-
out. I was like, bring back Big Shot, bring back hip hop. What's going on?
Hip hop was a good mascot.
I
too,
liked hip hop.
Why do they have to have a mascot anyway?
because
It's-
it's just fun,
a-
Brad. It's
A
just
lot
fun.
of it goes to marketability to kids, and one of the favorite things that I've always preached, and things that other mascots that I've worked with, it's like, well, the players come and go, but the mascot always stays, and you're trying to keep that fan base, especially with younger fan base. You got to find some connectivity. That's why the
Brad's-
Fanatic has been there for so long. The Mr. Met.
Brad's a curmudgeon from New York and doesn't like to have fun with mascots. So that's why
The Yankees don't have a mascot.
I know.
They used to have Dandy.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore, but
The-
that costume's probably
The Rangers don't have a mascot.
Rangers don't have one.
The
Both
Knicks have the city girls, the city dancers, but I
they
mean,
do have the City Dancers, and I think, well, I mean, depending on what you think about the
Sixers
Liberty.
the Sixers got a dance
No,
team too,
we
the
don't
Dream
count.
Team.
Yeah,
oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the Dream-
Dream Team.
the Dream Team.
Okay.
But
I mean,
It-
that's not that stuff is.
it's marketability. It's something to attract a younger audience.
San Diego still have the chicken?
I think the San
He's
Diego-
independent. He's an independent guy.
Oh, okay.
Yep. But a lot of people always associate him with the Padres.
Kind of like Billy Brewer, though.
Like Billy Brewer, yeah.
Yeah, kind of like him.
He's a good one. He goes down the slide.
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Bernie
he's a good
Brewer,
mascot.
he's good. But I love how F Teams is like chiming in and talking about
Does Atlanta still have Chief Nakahoma, or is he gone?
he has been replaced by
That's racist.
he has
Oh
been
my God,
replaced.
Stop.
It's true.
Let's see, Nakahoma retired. They retired Nakahoma, I believe, in '96 when they moved to Turner Field, and then they introduced Homer, which looked like Mr. Met. It was like a Mr. Met ripoff.
Oh God.
And then they replaced him this season with Blooper, which a lot of people were comparing to the Fanatic, which I haven't worked with the performer, but I know the performer of Blooper had some involvement in the creation of that as well. But F Teams chiming in saying Blaze is the best mascot. I know which one you're talking about of the Portland Trailblazers. I think
What about the Suns? They got that gorilla.
the gorilla, another great mascot. F Teams missing the Supersonics mascot. Bring back the Sonics. I want Squatch back. I want a dunking Bigfoot. It'll be amazing.
Frank, your mascot knowledge is just through the roof.
It's scary.
It's amazing.
It's scary.
You know a lot about mascots.
I know. It's like I actually do one.
I'm glad.
Wink,
you
wink,
might
nudge,
know
nudge.
that. Maybe you should look into it if you don't.
I know.
You know,
But-
there could be a future in there for you.
There is a future. Yeah, big future. I know. Maybe you can win a Super Bowl ring out of it. I don't know. It all depends.
Speaking of the Flyers and the Phillies and all things Philadelphia
Wow.
sports,
Hashtag mascot talk.
we're going to talk about the baseball. We're talking some baseball and the Phillies at the top of the next hour exclusively on YouTube. So check us out on YouTube after our commercial break at 9 o'clock for our baseball talk. But before we do that, Brad, you booked a very special guest for next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have Jim Jackson on, guys.
Jim Jackson.
Jim
Jim
Jackson.
Jackson, our
JJ.
our favorite hockey play-by-play.
Everybody's favorite
announcer.
Philadelphia personality.
He's
he does it
awesome.
all.
He's awesome. He does the radio for the Phillies. I mean, this is a guy that actually sees every pitch and every shot. So there's nobody who can be more knowledgeable on the subjects of the Phillies and the Flyers than JJ. So
Does the Flyers on I guess it's NBC Sports Network now?
yeah,
Or
I
whatever,
mean,
NBC Sports Philadelphia, whatever
he's a
they're
guy-
calling
he's a
channel
guy that-
847.
he's a guy that hasn't missed a puck drop in God knows how long.
Or he's been doing the Phillies
And he's
radio broadcast
never
for
misses-
forever.
Never misses a pitch. I mean,
And just
mean,
because he
who
doesn't,
better? Who
just 'cause he
better to
doesn't-
tell you guys what's going on with the Phillies and what's going on with the Flyers than him?
and also very knowledgeable about the Eagles, loves the Eagles and the Sixers as well.
Yes,
He's
he
a 4-for-4
does.
guy, Jim Jackson. He will be on the show next week. First hour.
Probably, most likely in the first hour. I know he wanted to come on early.
He wants to come on early.
So
So,
whenever
Stay
it's
tuned
good
to
for him, he will
Facebook next
be on.
week. Check out A2D, our personal social media pages. We'll get that information out to you. But Jim Jackson, confirmed guest for next week.
Woo!
Adding that to our, we had Phil Martelli on. We had a great conversation around tournament time.
And I
Yeah,
loved
Phil was-
the
Phil was
ribbing of the
hilarious.
tourney committee.
Oh, he did.
Yes.
It was a
roasted.
great-
He roasted.
He was a great guest. He was a
Great
great guest.
guest.
He doesn't hold anything back. Neither does
Yeah.
Jim Jackson.
No, Jim will tell it like it is. I think Jim could give us a little more thought about Connor Hart if he's gonna play.
Carter Hart.
Carter Hart.
You should probably
Carter
get his
Hart.
name right.
Okay. Whatever.
Jim
Hart.
Jackson.
Hart. I mean,
Make us look like doofuses.
okay. Well, he's gonna kind of let us know if he thinks Hart, because I'm sure he's seen Hart a lot more than we have. if Hart is ready for the NHL.
I don't understand because he's what 21 now. Hart
Mm-hmm.
wasn't Carey Price like 19 years old when he started playing for the Canadians?
He was pretty young. Patrick Roy.
He was pretty
Patrick Roy was 20 when he was
So
with
what,
the Canadians.
why is this kid special? He can't play before he can legally drink, or
young. I don't even know.
Brodeur was what 21 when he came up with the Devils in '93.
Yeah, he was a young.
And Marty Brodeur, I'll tell you what, Marty Brodeur, his rookie year, took the Devils to Game 7 of the semifinals against the Rangers in the year the Rangers won the Stanley Cup. And then after that, Marty won the Stanley Cup the following year, and then the Devils won 2 more with him. I mean, if this guy is your future, I've seen enough of Brian Elliott, and I have certainly seen
Michael
enough of
Neuwirth. You don't think Michael Neuwirth's the answer?
Michael Neuwirth is the kind of guy that if you play him once every 5 or 6 games, he can come in and he can do a nice job for you. If you're going to start playing him 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 games, he wears down fast and he becomes ineffective.
He gets hurt.
Yeah, well, not only does he get hurt, but he wears down. He's not consistent. He can't play a lot of games in a row. Brian Elliott has, and I said this last year when they first signed him, Brian Elliott hasn't played more than 47 games in about 10 years. And last year was no different. And Brian Elliott just isn't good. I mean, the Flyers, if you look at their team now with the addition of JVR.
I hate Brian Elliott.
With the addition of JVR, this team now has 2 devastating offensive lines. And there is no reason why this team won't score a lot of goals. And I think if they get any kind of decent performance in net, I do think that they could come in second, maybe even win the division.
So you think the Flyers are going to make the playoffs this year?
Oh, they're going to make the playoffs.
I was looking at the
worst case scenario.
I was looking at the odds to win the Stanley Cup, and the Flyers had much better odds than I anticipated, like 20 or 25 to 1.
The Flyers have a good team this year. I mean, they've got a
Young
lot of
up and
guys.
comers.
There's a lot of guys who can score in that team. And
But
you know
I
what?
want to see like
Well, we
Morgan
need-
Frost.
you
I want
need-
to see Morgan Frost
you
on
need-
the
Yeah.
big club.
You need Shane.
I don't want to see Morgan Frost on the minors.
Rob, you need Shane Gostisbehere to become a guy that's talked about in the same breath as guys like Carlson and guys like that. He needs to raise his level to
And
be
then-
in the Norris Trophy conversation.
Well, Carlson finally got traded to the Sharks.
Yes, he did. And by the way, the Sharks are being investigated for tampering, so stay tuned for that one.
What do you mean? What update?
They're
us?
being investigated for tampering.
So they colluded.
Well,
They talked to Carlson before they were supposed to. Is that the
I
claim?
don't. You know, the article I read did not have a lot of.
They gave up a
substance to it.
lot, from what
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I know they did. But
I
you
don't
know,
know.
a lot of
I don't know hockey like you.
a lot of team they did. They gave
a
up.
lot of people are saying they might have borderline gave up too much to try and win now. But I love that the Sharks are in win now mode.
They are.
So
They
what
are.
happens if they tampered? Let's say they
Well, the
tampered.
trade gets overturned and they lose a first round draft choice. So they
So
better.
the Flyers can get them.
And listen, I was saying last year that the Flyers should have tried to get him. I mean, I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins, okay, and I'm seeing a team that's starting to get a little old. You know, they're getting a little long in the tooth. You know, Murray showed that he's not all that in a bag of chips last year. I could see the Flyers beating them out for second place this year.
The Penguins.
Yeah, as far as the
Nothing
Capitals,
would make me happier, but I mean they still have Sidney
As-
Crosby and Malkin.
I realize that, but you know what? Now the Flyers have added a legitimate 30-goal scorer to their team.
And JVR.
They now have 2 lines that can light it up. I mean, between
So who are these two
their top
lines?
six-
Who are these two? Who are these top? Who are the top 6? Who are the 2 lines that you're referring to?
Giroux, Simmons,
Okay,
Travis Konechny, love him. Sean Couturier,
love Coots.
Voracek, and JVR. You know, I mean, these are 6 guys who legitimately can score 30 goals.
So the
Between these 6 players, Rob, these 6 guys could easily score 170 to 180 goals next year, this season.
So how many 30-goal scorers will this team have? Of those 6, how many score 30? Not 27, not 25, 30 or
Well,
above.
would you give me between 25 and 35?
No, 30.
30. I mean, 3 or 4 guys on that team could score 30 goals for sure. Giroux gets a lot of assists. And so does Voracek. That's the only thing. But somebody's got to set these guys up to score. But they have a host of goal scorers.
Well,
on
I
this
like
team.
the addition of JVR because he's an actual, he's a sniper from the wing.
He's Wayne Simmons with talent. Wayne Simmons is kind of a guy who stands in front of the
Wayne
net.
Simmons is a garbage man.
Yeah,
And that's fine.
and
But
but every
that
team
role is being phased out of the
every team,
NHL.
Nah, it's never phased out in the NHL. You listen.
You can't be paying a guy like you can't be paying a garbage man like Wayne Simmons.
Rob, there's
And by
always room
by
on
garbage
a team.
man, I mean a guy who stands in front of the net and picks out
Yeah, but
I'm not saying Wayne Simmons is garbage. He's just overpaid for what he does for the team.
Yeah, but if he scores 30 goals a season, what difference does it make how he scores it? He's a guy that stands in front of the net. He distracts the goalie. I mean, do you know how many shots go in the net because Wayne Simmons is in front of the goalie and annoying the goalie with his presence and getting in the way?
My
and
only point is I wish
screams?
he made a little bit less money.
Well, but a lot of teams would be willing to pay a guy like that. I mean, the other thing is,
And I think that's old school
the,
NHL.
The other thing is, Shane Gostisbehere has got to become, as I said, a part of the conversation.
Is he
as far
big
as
enough and strong enough to be in that conversation? I think Provorov has a better chance to jump into that conversation than Gostisbehere.
He
Not
does
that
not have.
Gostisbehere's bad, but Gostisbehere's
Gostisbehere
an
has
offensive
the
defenseman.
offensive. Gostisbehere has the offensive ability to light it up. He's the guy who can get you 20, 25 goals as a defenseman. He's got the Brett Burns type potential. He can skate. He's got an unbelievable shot.
Love Brett Burns.
I mean, he's got an unbelievable shot. But this is what, if the Flyers want to contend for the Stanley Cup, that's what they need.
Is he big and strong enough to mark a big time forward like Provorov can?
As far as defensively,
Right. He is a defenseman.
okay, but
That's my only point with Gostisbehere.
But defensemen also in today's NHL are puck movers, skaters, and you want your defensemen to have big shots and be able to score.
And
this guy-
Gostisbehere checks all those boxes.
Exactly.
He
Is
worries me
is
sometimes
is he
on
great?
the defensive
Is
end.
he great? Is he great defensively? No, but I could tell you what. Paul Coffey, if you go back to him,
That's what everyone compares him to.
Paul Coffey didn't play a lick of defense, and you know what? Who wouldn't want to have him on the team? Listen, not every defenseman is as great defensively as Chris Letang. Okay, that is rare that a guy can score and play defense the way Chris Letang can. I think Provorov could get to that level defensively. I don't think he's got the ability offensively that Gostisbehere has. Gostisbehere is the kind of guy who can make or break this team. And you know, if with their power play and the top six that they have, okay, and the guy JVR is the kind of guy that can A, win battles along the boards, and B, stand in front of the net just like Simmons. So when Simmons goes off the ice, okay, on the power play, then JVR gets back on the ice, okay, and then he creates havoc in front of the net. Their power play is just going to be so difficult to deal with. That team's going to score a lot of goals. They could end up being in the top 5 in the NHL for offense.
All right, before we go to break, Dion has a question, a little outside the box question. Outside of the Raiders relocating to Las Vegas, what is another city you guys would like to have an NFL franchise? Just a random topic I was talking about with coworkers.
Whew. That's a tough one.
I mean, Vegas, that vacates Oakland.
That vacates Oakland.
Seattle has a team.
Yeah, so Portland is out of the question. It's strong Seahawks territory over there in Portland. If I had a choice,
What
Is
about
there
Utah?
even another market?
the only other team I could think of is St. Louis, but I don't know what
They
St.
already
Louis.
lost a team.
Yeah,
They
St.
wouldn't pay
St.
for-
Louis.
They don't
St.
wanna
Louis in
pay for a
football
stadium.
is like Atlanta to the NHL. Like
Yeah, football doesn't seem to stay in.
it doesn't seem to sit in St. Louis. Maybe like a flash in the pan year, but a long-term situation. I don't think St. Louis.
I got one for you. It's not an American city though.
Toronto.
Toronto, yeah.
Toronto. What about
Toronto.
Mexico City?
That's a rumored one.
No.
I know they've been doing a lot of the games
Why
in
not?
Mexico. They've been well attended,
No, bad
but
idea.
but Mexico City,
Mexico is not a safe place for those guys
it's
to live.
it's a little too far south compared to the rest of the league. But if they want to put a team in Mexico, it's probably going to be in Monterrey, Mexico, which is just outside of
Oh, that's
think
in California, isn't it?
Monterrey, Mexico. It's
Isn't
like
that in
outside of
California? The California, Mexico.
different different part of the. I think it's closer to El Paso or
the Texas,
Brownsville.
Mexico. See,
It's near that area.
I think that it's a little too risky.
I mean, it's not like you're placing a team in Tijuana or
but I don't.
or Juarez.
I'd be worried about the safety of the safety of that.
I mean,
of anybody there. I think Toronto.
We send teams to Europe.
Yeah, they used to do.
Europe isn't unsafe though.
Are you sure about that? Not to get on a political tangent, but
I don't see
sure about that?
I don't see a market in Europe. I mean, if you want to make it developmental, like how they did with NFL Europa, it could be doable.
Didn't that already fold?
Yeah, it
They
already
don't
folded.
like American football over there.
Yeah,
They don't like
there
it.
there is a
What about
niche
Milwaukee?
market.
Milwaukee,
but
they
that's
had the
Green Bay.
Packers.
That's true, but Milwaukee. I mean, Milwaukee
They had the
has-
Packers for years.
They have a baseball team. Okay, I mean they have a basketball team. I mean, I don't. There might be too many Packer fans there. That might
Too
be,
many Packers
yeah,
fans.
That probably wouldn't work.
I mean, I'm looking in the YouTube
But
comments.
What about these hotbeds?
Oklahoma City.
OKC,
Yeah,
Oklahoma
yeah,
City
exactly.
was brought up.
Nebraska.
Omaha is another one.
Omaha.
Omaha's a tempting one. I know people are bringing up Virginia Beach as another one. Norfolk, Hampton Roads, all that.
Is there enough of a population base though there to?
It's large enough. I know. A couple of years ago they were considering
But
to
aren't most
relocate
of
the
those-
Kings there.
Aren't most of those fans Carolina Panthers fans though?
It's usually split down the middle between like Washington, Carolina, and Baltimore,
Okay.
because it's like right in that metroplex area, between Washington. So I think Virginia Beach could be an option. Maybe / Norfolk / Hampton Roads. All those Virginia cities.
I want to ask. I want to answer F. Deem's question. He wants to know how are the Golden Knights. Okay, the Golden Knights. In case you weren't aware, F. Deems, they just got Pacioretty. So
Yeah, so they're
looking
up again.
pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, let's take our break. We'll go back to YouTube. Don't forget, folks, our Facebook friends. Jim Jackson will be joining the program in the first hour next week. Time to be determined. So we got that going on. We're going to take our break. Back exclusively on YouTube, talking Eagles, talking Gabe Kapler and the Phillies. Hot out of the break. Eagles still in play all night. Sports Hounds, A2D Radio. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
Are we ready? Okay. We're live.
We've been
We're live right
We were
now.
both getting into the music.
Brett's dance.
Yeah. We're live right now.
We are live right now. We are on YouTube.
Hello, everybody.
I
We're
don't-
back.
As Ron Burgundy would say, I don't believe you.
we are back.
We are live now. Brad's dancing exclusively on YouTube. We're in the Real Talk Studios, live in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. Brought to you as always by Gibson Mara LLC. We got the Scans Auto Sports poll question, biggest surprise through week 3 of week 3. A lot of varying answers, but Brad, I want to talk about baseball because the Phillies on Saturday nearly got no hit by Michael Fultonowicz, and the Braves were able to clinch the National League East rather
Of course.
easily. Phillies sitting right at 78 wins. I said they were going to win 75 before the year. Not that far off on my prediction, by the way.
That's a little
Not that
disappointing
far.
for them because you know what? The way they were playing the first
Do you know what?
through
It's
July,
not. Because over 162 games, the team is going to show their true colors. And all these people that want to fire Gabe Kapler, I mean, give me a break. I get he does things a little differently. He's a little bit of a different cat. But this team doesn't have enough talent to contend in even a weak National League. They just don't. The guy used smoke and mirrors with his bullpen and his starting rotation for the first, 100, 110 games of the season.
yeah, pretty much.
And they fell apart. They don't have enough innings in the let me put it to you this way.
Their starting pitching did not give them enough innings, and
And
their
I
bullpen
asked this,
got
I think
overworked.
I asked Frank before you got here. How many players on this team would start for the Cubs?
Other than Hoskins,
I'm not even sure Hoskins would start on the Cubs.
you could find a place for him.
Well, he's not playing first. They have Rizzo, who's a beast, and
Yeah, but you could-
Schwarber's the same type of player
Right, but he
in
could
left field.
All right, so put him in right then.
He can barely play left.
Well, you got to find a place for him though.
So your answer is 1. My answer might be 1, might be 0. And you want to fire the manager?
Well, Nola could certainly pitch for them.
Well, obvious. I mean, that's fine. I'm talking about
Okay,
everyday
position players.
guys who play every day. Cesar Hernandez would not start for the Cubs. Scott Kingery
No.
would not start for the Cubs. Michael Franco would not start for the Cubs. And you can put whatever team you want in, whatever premier playoff team you want to put in there. The Indians, the Astros, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs. I feel like the Dodgers you can put in there. And you want
Oakland,
the Phillies.
Oakland too. Oakland
Yeah,
has
none of those players.
Oakland has a killer lineup.
Hoskins would start on. Hoskins would definitely start on Oakland.
He would not play in left field. I'd take Chris Davis over him every day of the week.
Isn't Chris Davis the DH?
Chris Davis plays left. Oh no, now he is the DH. I think Loriano plays left now. So
And
he-
that
yeah,
guy's
okay.
good.
Yeah, but Hoskins.
You
I'd
put
take
Hoskins in
over
left,
Bet.
and you
Yeah.
put Chris Davis
at DH. Yeah,
So
okay.
Hoskins would definitely start. I'm not so sure. I mean, Schwarber's the same type of player as Hoskins. I don't know, my YouTube thing's not working, so see if we got any. But
Not yet.
the fire Kapler narrative, it's just funny to me. It's just funny to me because this guy did a good job to be. What do you think? They get 81 games,
The problem with
82
Kapler
game wins.
is that the way he markets himself, the way he shows himself, he is kind of a clown. I mean, he really is kind of a clown, and I think that kind of turns
But
a
he
lot
had
of
this-
stomachs.
He had this team, yeah, because he's
down here.
different. He's just different. Because guess what? Baseball's changing,
Yeah.
just like the NFL's changing. Look, your best player doesn't bat third anymore. He bats second,
And everybody's relying on analytics, and analytics are going to be the new normal.
and that's fine. But if Cesar Hernandez was the utility man on this team, like he should be on pretty much any other decent team in baseball, and
Then
then
you'd have
you
something.
double switch late, and then Cesar Hernandez comes up in a big spot in the ninth inning because you did a double switch, and not Pedro Floriman, that's going to look a lot better. This team has no bench to execute double switches the way analytics would suggest. They don't have the bullpen to do the substitutions and pitching changes like he wants with analytics.
They have two starting.
And they have
pitchers.
two,
Yep.
maybe 1.5 starting pitchers because I wasn't impressed with Jake Arrieta one lick.
Yeah,
this
that was a
season. He
disappointment.
had some stretches, and now you're playing Santana at third, and Bohr and Hoskins is in left, and
Well,
he's
they're
not a
trying-
left fielder.
He's trying to get some
They
offense.
desperately need to add innings to this pitching staff.
They also have got to find
Desperately
another. They've
need.
got to find another bat.
And I'll say it again. I've been saying it the whole 3 years we've been on the air together, both at this station and at other stations. Vince Velasquez is a bullpen pitcher. He would be fantastic in an Andrew Miller, Dylan Patansis type role. He would be
Yeah, he
outstanding.
Would. I agree with you.
He would be outstanding. Sir Anthony is a guy
As
you
a
can
matter of
use
fact,
going forward.
Andrew Miller is a free agent next
Past
year.
that,
By the way, just thought I'd bring that up.
that's fine. I was looking at the
So
trash.
is Betances too. Actually,
I was looking at the trash free agents in my show prep, and there's not that many that really impressed me to accept Machado, but Machado's going to go to the Yankees, and Andujar's either going to play left field or first base, and Machado will play third. Because I think Machado
You don't think they're gonna try to sign Harper to play left? They need a left-handed bat, Rob. You can't have nine.
No, because
nine
I think
guys.
Bryce Harper's either going to come to the Phillies or he's going to stay in Washington.
What about the Cubs?
Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean his buddy Chris Bryant. I still think he's going to stay with the Nationals. I mean that's just my opinion.
I mean you got to put it all on the table if you're Washington in a sport. I mean Washington D.C. is a big enough market. You got to try and keep Harper.
Oh yeah. See, the one thing about the Yankees, they need to get some left-handed hitters on the team. They're too right-handed.
I mean a sleeper team.
Other than Didi, really, who's your real good left-handed?
And
hitter
then
on the
I
team?
think a sleeper team when it comes to Bryce Harper, it could be the Mets.
No, the Mets are not going to pay him. The Dodgers might be, maybe. The Angels, maybe.
The Mets kind of made a run here to give themselves a somewhat. They were still a bad team.
The Wilpons are so cheap. I wouldn't count on that. I
But if they're not going to trade those pitchers at the deadline like they didn't, you got to go out and get some hitting.
Oh, I think that they will, but I think that
think
the Mets,
Rosario's a nice player there.
Do you
I
know
think
what
McNeil's a nice player there.
typical Mets signing?
Conforto's a nice player there.
Typical Mets signing would be like Jones from Baltimore.
But
that would be
I don't want to
typical
talk. I don't
Mets
want to talk
signing.
about the. I don't want to talk about the dirty stinking
Yeah.
Mets because they
No,
stink.
I
have a guy telling me on Facebook today because to me, it's disappointing because I think the Atlanta Braves are one of the weakest division winners in recent memory.
Yeah,
I don't think they're that good.
No.
Outside of a ridiculous power surge by Ronald Acuna, I mean this is a dead heat, and they're going to win 92 to 95 games, which is a great record.
There's nobody else.
But
in the division.
they smoked the Marlins every time they played them, and they smoked the Mets every time they played them. The Phillies struggled against both those teams. That's the division. That's the difference in the division.
I mean,
And Acuna going.
Yeah, but I mean, but if you look at
berserk on the league there for about
record,
the last month.
If you look at Atlanta's record against the top teams, they got their brains beaten by Boston.
They're
going to
get swept.
They got their brains beaten by the Yankees. They got clobbered by Tampa Bay.
The Atlanta Braves won't win a playoff game.
They
won't win a playoff game.
The Colorado Rockies swept them, I believe, in a 4-game series the last time they played them. I mean, seriously, Atlanta doesn't beat any good teams.
Their bullpen is garbage. Fultinowicz is.
Who is their closer now? Minter? Still, or did he lose
Minter,
the job too?
Venters. Jesse Biddle plays a key role in their bullpen.
Jesse Biddle.
Jesse Biddle.
He's terrible.
The
Atlanta, whoever plays
Ruben Amaro stud draft pick. Jesse Biddle.
Whoever plays Atlanta in the first round,
they're going to sweep them.
Yeah, they're going to smoke them.
Maybe Fultinowicz can pitch a gem and they get one that way, but
yeah, but is he going to pitch 9?
he might. He's going to have to.
Yeah, because they're. I mean, I just don't see. You're going to tell me that if you're going to tell me that Anibal Sanchez is going to pitch Game 3, there's no way.
And Newcomb really hasn't been.
Newcomb's had a rough second half. He kind of ran into the wall a little bit.
But the Phillies, getting back to the Phillies here, fire Kapler. #fire Kapler. I'm sick of it. It's stupid. It's stupid to judge this guy on a team that's. It's just not that good.
No, it's really not. I mean, Odubel Herrera, what a disappointment he turned into.
Yeah, I would trade him for competent arms in a second.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
Odubel Herrera looked like the first half of the season. He looked like the best center fielder in baseball, and then the second half of the season, he looked like the worst center fielder in baseball. I mean, that is crazy to be that bad.
He's not patient. He's not, and I mean Roman Quinn, I'm fine with in center field. So, if you can't get Harper, Harper's number 1 on my get list for the Phillies. Right fielder.
Harper is a big time
a right
player.
fielder that can absolutely bash.
You guys absolutely need a big
And then
stick in the middle of that lineup.
2 free agents I would keep an eye on as well are Michael Brantley. He's 32.
Michael Brantley's a nice player,
play
but
left.
he's very injury prone though.
That's fine. I mean, no one else.
I'm just.
I mean,
I'm
I
just
don't
saying
see
he gets hurt
Elvis
a lot.
Andrews would intrigue me to come in and play shortstop.
Yeah,
but
he wasn't all that good this year. He only hit about 255.
yeah, but he's a great glove, Brad. And the Phillies made way too many errors to be considered for the postseason.
He's a very good glove.
He can run.
He
was hitting.
Is he
was
a
hitting
free agent?
fantastic.
Is he a free
He has
agent?
an opt out. He
He's
can
not
opt out.
He's not going to opt out. He's making over $20 million this
4
year.
years, $$58 million. He'd be opting out of.
No,
so he's probably not going to do
He's
that.
not going to opt out.
And another free agent I would like to see possibly added for left field is AJ Pollock.
What about McCutcheon?
No, too old. And Pollock and Brantley are still injury prone. If you can get Harper and let's just say Brantley in right and left with Quinn in center, Herrera out of town for either a couple bullpen guys or a starter.
What are you going to do? How are you going to get rid of Santana though?
I would put you're stuck with Santana next year.
Yeah,
you're
got
stuck
2 more
with
years.
him. You got 2 more years with
him.
A stupid ass signing by Clintac, just clueless general managing, because you sign Brantley to play left, you put Harper in right, you put Hoskins at first, and then I don't know, you have a platoon with Franco and Santana at third.
But they're both right-handed. No, Santana's
a switchy.
He's a switch hitter. Okay, yeah, you don't want to be platooning at third base though.
Why? Who cares?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
I guess Crawford's going to get
a shot at short.
A shot at short, which at least he can field. He can field.
Suppose you get Machado though. You could have Machado at short or third.
I think that's a done deal that he's going to the Bronx.
See, I wouldn't be too sure about that. I keep hearing that the Yankees are now
let's say
thinking
this.
about
I
Harper.
think Manny Machado wants to go play in.
Oh, he definitely does.
Wants to play in New York.
He does.
Whether the Yankees reciprocate or not, I guess is yet to be seen. But I'd rather sign Harper in right field than Machado at third. I just would. I don't know if that. I mean, I think that because you got to get Hoskins to first base. You got to play him at first. He's an okay left fielder right now because he's 23, 24 years old, whatever he is. He can get away with that, but as he gets older and
well, Santana's only signed for 2 more years.
Right, put him at third.
Can he play third?
He's been playing third.
Has he been okay?
He's been okay.
Okay.
He actually did hit. I know he gets killed a lot, but he actually was tearing the cover off the ball in September.
He does get a lot of walks too.
He walks. This is why they signed him. But bottom line is, so I'm going Hoskins first, Santana third, Brantley, Quinn, Harper in my outfield, Crawford short. Kingery's going to get a shot at second because
you're going to re-sign that catcher.
I would 100% would re-sign Wilson Ramos. He's an outstanding hitter, and Alfaro is just a butcher behind the plate. And then I have Nick Williams as my fourth outfielder.
You could do a lot worse than him,
which is good.
Yeah, no, he's an ideal fourth outfielder because he could come off the bench and supply some punch for you when you need to rest some of your guys.
Then you have Kingery, Franco.
I would trade
Cesar.
I would trade Franco because I think Franco had a pretty good year.
What do you get for Franco?
He had a pretty good year this year, though. And you know what? There are plenty of teams that could use a decent third baseman. He's a decent player.
I agree.
He's not a bad player.
I'm just saying he got benched. He got benched down the stretch in a division race by Kapler. Basically benched.
Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but
you know
it happened. Sean Madge checks in. How are you guys? We're doing great, Sean. Eagles won. Talking a little Phillies, talking a little baseball right now. He loves the show. Thanks for being a fan. Thanks for listening. But Crawford at short, that's at least an upgrade defensively. Cabrera, I don't think will be back, if I had to guess.
Asdrubal Cabrera, you mean?
Correct. He
Probably
was a rental.
Probably not. He was a good player. Was he a good player for you guys though?
He was okay.
Yeah, he was when he was playing in New York, he was playing very well with the Mets.
But they're boxed in. They're boxed in because they paid Kingery already after he's proved nothing, which made no sense, and they have Santana on the hook. So I don't know. Plus, I want to re-sign Ramos, and I want to make a run at Brantley, and I want to make a run at Harper.
Listen, your payroll is not very high.
I understand,
Okay.
but we haven't
You can
even
take
talked
off-
about
but
how.
you- but you can-
But we haven't even talked
You can
about
take
the
rubber
pitching,
bands-
Brad.
You can take the rubber bands off the money now and start spending some money and bringing in some guys.
I understand that, but that's position players, and Harper's a big check. Brantley's going to be a big check. Ramos
Well, there are some guys.
got to be
there are
a
some
big
guys.
check.
There are some guys.
I'm
that are-
trading Herrera for pitching somewhat. I'm moving Velasquez to the
All right,
bullpen.
what about some pitchers? What about? I mean, there are going to be some guys. I think J Happ is going to re-sign with the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are going to let him out of their sight. I think he never even gets to free agency.
Cole Hamels is under contract.
Cole Hamels is under contract for one more year. No, he's not. He's a free agent. Cole Hamels. You have to. No, you're right. You're right.
I believe he has one more year left.
Keuchel is a free agent, but you're not going to get
Dallas
him.
Keuchel, no, he's more of the same of what they have. It's going to be tough.
What
I
about
don't know what
Patrick?
they're gonna
What
do.
about Patrick Corbin? What a guy
If
like
you
that.
could sign Patrick Corbin, I mean,
See, I like him. I
but
would.
you can't sign anyone.
I would
You're
love
gonna
him
have
for
to.
the Yankees.
You got to find innings that are cheap
I would love to sign him for the Yankees.
because I can't
He's a nice pitcher.
watch this
and you
lineup.
need a lefty in the worst way. Do you have
Well,
a
they
left-handed
didn't.
starter?
They didn't trade for Hamels, and they didn't trade for Happ's lefty, right?
Yes.
And he didn't trade for Happ. Clintac sat on his hands. If you traded for Cole Hamels, you would have your lefty problem solved for both this year and next year. And Cole Hamels pitched pretty well for the Cubs since
I
going
would
there.
I would think Pat Corbin could be had for probably around 3 for 48. I don't think you're going to pay more than that for him.
I mean, I would sign him for that as long as it doesn't prohibit me from getting the everyday lineup that I want.
But I'm just saying, 3 for 48 for Corbin. Corbin would be invaluable for the Phillies. You could put, you could put him number 2 in the rotation, and then Jake Arrieta would really be where he belongs, which is a number 3 at this point of his career. And then you have Nola at the top. Then you go right, left, right. That's not a bad 1-2-3 punch. You go into a big series and have those 3 guys to have to face face in a big series. That's a nice little group you have to face.
And then the bullpen, the bullpen was a disaster. I think you could find even if you don't do.
You could always find relief pitchers. There's going to be a lot
Yeah,
of relief pitchers
I keep
out
hearing
there.
that, and I watch the same slop year after year for this team.
They don't go out.
Everyone can find a bullpen except the Phillies.
They
it's
just
a
have
joke.
they have to be more aggressive.
Luis Garcia stinks. If he's on the team next year, I'm going to blow my brains out. The guy is horrible.
You want AJ? You want AJ Cole?
Anybody, send him over.
No, you don't want him. Trust me.
You don't want. I'll trade you straight up, Luis Garcia for AJ Cole.
Oh boy, I think the Yankees.
Luis
would do that.
Garcia is horrible.
Do you know what
He's
AJ
not
Cole's
good.
ERA is in his last 7 games?
You know what, Luis Garcia's? I don't know what is it. It can't be good. Luis Garcia is horrible.
Is it over 13?
Adam Morgan is horrible. Pat Neshek stinks. Tommy Hunter stinks.
I told you Tommy Hunter wasn't good. I told you that at the beginning of the season.
$9
He's never
million a
been
year
good.
for Tommy Hunter.
Yeah, that's a complete waste. They look. There's a lot of relief pitchers out there. You're going to have Miller out there.
Well, you're
Betances is
stuck
out
with
there.
you're stuck with Hunter.
Robertson is going to be available too. These are guys from the Yankees or former Yankees.
And
that
I
know
don't
are
like
gonna be available.
I don't like Sir Anthony in the closer role. I like him in the setup role.
What about a guy like Andrew Miller as your closer?
He was hurt a lot this year. I wouldn't be giving him any big money.
You may not have to.
If you can steal Andrew Miller, I'm 100%.
How about 2
in.
years? What about 2 years for $16 million for him?
That's less than you're paying for That's less than you're paying for Tommy Hunter. You think that'll work?
Well, Andrew Miller, last contract that he had was 4 years, $32 million. Now, Andrew Miller is the kind of guy he goes where he wants to go. He's not completely about the money like some of these other guys, believe it or not. He really isn't. He goes where he wants to play, and he would be an interesting choice for them. He really would be. Now there is a question, obviously, of his health. That would be something you have to worry about. By the way, the Cubs are now losing 2-1. The Brewers and Cardinals are still 1-1 in the 5th inning. I mean, that is going to be. I'll tell you what. That race between the Brewers, Cardinals, and Rockies could come down to the final weekend of the season.
Absolutely.
I mean, and the Phillies really could have something to say about the Rockies. Because the Rockies, I believe, right now are, 15 games over 500. And I think the Cardinals are 18 over and the Brewers are 19 over. So, I mean, if the Rockies fatten up on Philadelphia and those two teams beat each other up, you could have a 3-way tie.
I don't even know what would happen in that.
I don't either.
What do you play, a round robin?
I don't know. I have no idea.
But, I mean, the Rockies have to make up 1.5 games on the Cardinals.
Okay. Is it the loss column, or are they one behind in the loss column or two? That's my question.
Steelers are up 16-7 on Monday Night Football.
Steelers sending a message.
Antonio Brown.
How do
but
you
they're
like
now
that?
up 22-7. They just got a pick 6. Antonio Brown has a touchdown. Not good for the Sports Hounds fantasy team.
Dion Brown saying Tampa Bay seems to be on the humble train by the Pittsburgh Steelers, balling out right now. Still a whole half to go. Fitzmagic just tossed his 3rd pick for a touchdown. So I guess Fitz is back.
See, now
to
this is
being
what I
Fitz.
thought the Eagles were going to do to him. Which, I mean, whatever. The Eagles lost to the Bucs. I'm just going to have to get over that. They shouldn't have lost to the Bucs.
Yeah.
But I thought they were going to lose to the
They
Titans.
weren't going to go undefeated.
Why not, Brad? Why not?
Nobody goes undefeated.
Why not?
Because nobody goes
It's
undefeated.
not true. There's one team that went undefeated. 1972 Miami Dolphins. You said no one goes undefeated.
Oh,
that
that
team
was-
went undefeated.
But that was
That
1972.
was 1972, and they only played 14 games back then. And the Dolphins
Still
had the world's
undefeated.
the Dolphins had the world's easiest schedule ever known to man that year. They never played a 500 team.
How's that possible?
Well, they did in the playoffs, but they didn't. The best two teams they played were actually, I should say, they never played an over 500 team. The two teams with the best records they played that season were the Giants and Jets, who were both 7-7.
Okay, the Brewers are 89-67. They're 2 games up on the Cardinals, 3.5 up on the Colorado Rockies. 87-69 are the Cardinals in the second wild. They have 1.5 games back. 85-70.
So how many games in the loss column is the Rockies from the
In
Cardinals?
the loss column, 1.
1. Okay, because that's the key. So they are 1 game behind in the loss column. So really, the Cardinals cannot afford
And,
to
you know,
lose.
I mean, the Phillies would show up when they're eliminated and do something crazy and take 2 or 3 from the Rockies, but I don't think that's going to happen. The Rockies have a great lineup, and the Phillies pitching is piss poor.
And I also heard Nola's probably going to get shut down for the rest of the season, which I think they should do. I don't think there's any
I
point.
mean, whatever.
There's no point in
He
it.
pitched
He
horrendous.
pitched great.
He pitched
this year.
horrendous in September, so he's kind of on my shit list right now. Horrendous.
He ran out of gas.
That's
but you know what,
unacceptable. If you want to be an ace, you can't run out of gas. Sorry. No, it's going to offend a lot of people who think Aaron Nola should be this National League Cy Young.
He's not
But-
the Cy Young. Jake
but-
DeGrom just had
Aaron
another.
Nola kissed his Cy Young chances goodbye with his shit September pitching.
I'll tell you what.
Horrible.
That last game,
Leaving
DeGrom pitched
balls
against.
Horrible locations. So you want to be an ace, you got to pitch better in September. There,
You got to
Aaron.
pitch. You got to pitch like DeGrom did. I mean, DeGrom last game against the Nats, I think he gave up 2 runs in 7 innings again and struck out 11. And the Mets actually scored some runs for him and got the win. So DeGrom is 9-9. I think he's running away with the Cy Young at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if he's-
1.77 ERA.
Oh, it went up. It went up 0.6.
It went up. Yeah, it went up from 1 point. Yeah, well, he had one game where he actually gave up 2 runs in 6 innings.
Holy smokes!
I mean, what a bum. Can you imagine a guy that's now had 28
this is why-
games in a row where he has left given up 3 or less runs?
Yeah, tied Bob Gibson's major league record.
I mean,
it's unbelievable.
That is,
I
you think
understand
about
people
that,
who don't want to give him the Cy Young.
because he's only
I
got
don't get
9
it.
wins.
It
That's
doesn't matter.
Well, let me ask you a question. Blake Snell has 21 wins now.
Blake Snell would be my vote for the American League Cy Young.
I would vote for him too because Sale has not pitched in September.
He did pitch. He pitched
3
against
innings.
the Indians.
3 innings.
We said he didn't pitch, but 3 innings is pitching.
Okay, all right,
Just saying.
3 innings. But he's been on the DL twice. To me,
Chris Sale does this every year. When it
To
gets
me,
into
you need-
September and
you need to
October,
be-
he runs out of gas.
but you need to be out of the mound pitching, okay? Because to me that's a bunch of crap. If you're running out of gas, then baseball's a marathon. It's to win the Cy Young, you need to be good for 6 months, not 5, and then basically not pitch in the month of September, which is for more or less what,
hey, he's
done.
not my American League Cy
Yeah,
Young.
at this
it's
point-
Blake Snell.
Yeah, at this
Blake
point,
Snell pitched another 2 gems last week.
how do you like the game he pitched yesterday?
It's unbelievable.
I mean, he what did he have? 12 strikeouts in 8 innings, and 8 innings, no runs, and 12 strikeouts and no walks.
Yeah, he's
my
pick.
And picked up win number 21. And by the way, he will probably go for number 22 on Friday. And luckily for the Yankees,
And I hope
they don't have to face him.
I hope that they let him pitch like the whole game. Like just go out there and pitch, and we'll.
Tampa
not gonna
Bay lets
shut you
him
down.
pitch as many innings as he can.
Let him complete the game. Maybe put the
put the
final nail on the coffin, like a
put the
complete game
cherry. You
shutout.
mean put the cherry on top of the sundae?
cherry on top of the whipped cream.
Yeah,
The real question when it comes to baseball is the National League MVP.
You know what? I got to give it to Yelich.
I have to agree. Javi Baez is in the mix.
Baez has had a tremendous year, but I mean Yelich, two cycles. I mean, and he's in the heat of the battle, this guy has just been phenomenal. And I mean, I always thought he was a pretty good player. I don't think anybody in their right mind would have thought he would have had the kind of year he's had this year.
He plays good defense too, which in my opinion should count for something.
It does.
Nolan Arenado is an absolute beast in Colorado too.
He is, and he's a great defensive player as well.
Right.
So
I might have to go with Nolan Arenado because he's the best offensive and best defensive player at his position.
well,
But
listen,
Yelich
if Nolan
is certainly
Arenado wins, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't sit there and be stunned because that Nolan Arenado is obviously a real solid choice. But you basically have 3 guys in the National League that look to be the part: Baez, Yelich, and Arenado at this point. I mean,
I would agree.
I mean, right now they have to be the 3 favorites.
I'd vote for Arenado.
Yeah, I would vote.
think.
I would probably vote for Yelich. Just it really, it would kind of depend. I guess if Colorado makes the playoffs, then I guess I would vote for Arenado. But I think Milwaukee is going to make the playoffs. As I said, it's going to be these next 3 games between St. Louis and Milwaukee are going to be real interesting. Because if what are they playing? They're playing 3 or 4.
3.
3. I mean, if Milwaukee takes 2 out of 3 from St. Louis,
St. Louis has to have an off day in there somewhere, right?
I think they do. Yeah, because they played 1 extra game
Right.
over Colorado. So
So
yeah,
what's today?
so it's-
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah,
they
they're gonna
probably had
have-
a 3-gamer off Thursday. Then they play
and the Phillies play
whoever.
the Rockies 4 games, right?
3.
3.
3. Then they come home for.
So I mean the Rockies.
Was it 4-4-3?
I
or
thought it was
4-3-4?
4. I thought the Rockies played 4.
It might be 4.
The Rockies have to win 3 out of 4 against the Phillies. I mean, they can't afford to lose more than 1 game to the Phillies at this point. If the Cardinals win 2 out of 3 against Milwaukee, I think they're pretty much in the driver's seat.
F Deems. Who was the Cub that got in trouble? Was it Addison Russell? Yes, it was
Addison Russell is in trouble.
He's
right
in a
now.
lot of trouble. Domestic abuse allegations, which are apparently substantiated with some video. But Addison Russell wasn't even playing for the.
No, and he's been a major.
They traded for Murphy to play second, and Javier Baez is in the MVP mix. So
right.
Addison Russell's kind
Addison
of
Russell
SOL
is-
when it comes to
Yeah,
comes to
Addison
playing time.
Russell has been a major disappointment this year.
I thought he was going to be all that when they traded for him from Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, when they got Addison Russell, I'm trying to remember who they did they trade?
It was a Samardzija trade,
Okay.
I think.
How did Oakland get Sean Manaea? Who
I
gave
don't
them
know.
Sean Manaea? Because I know he was.
Was he a trade?
Oh no, he was the Zobrist trade.
Who?
Manaea.
Maybe I don't. I
Yeah,
can't
I
keep-
think he. I think he
I'm
may have been.
fairly certain that Addison Russell came
I think-
over in the.
Zobrist was on the was on Oakland, and I think Manaea was in the Royals organization, and they traded Manaea for Zobrist.
But they got a World Series out of that. No,
Yeah, they did.
that's fine then.
Yeah, no.
And Manaea's hurt right now.
Yeah, no, I know, and that's gonna really kill Oakland.
And
as far
Manaea
as
doesn't strike out
playing-
enough people to be an ace. He's number 2 or number 3.
Yeah, not a bad move though.
Low
for-
whip. But I'll trade Sean Manaea for Ben Zobrist, who got me a World Series.
Yeah. Listen,
You
Kansas
get the,
City.
You get the strap.
Kansas
it's
City.
fine.
Yeah, Kansas City is gonna rebuild. But
And
you know what?
Kansas City's really only relevant once every 15 years because they don't pay anybody, or when they do, they pay the wrong people.
Right, they have to be.
So they got it.
Everybody has to be in the right place at the right time. Kind of like Tampa Bay this year. I mean, poor Tampa Bay. You think about it; they're 19 games over 500,
which
and
is
I mean-
unbelievable.
yeah, and they don't really
Unbelievable.
have a whiff right now. They can barely. They're on life support right now as far as the
No,
playoffs.
I mean they're out.
Yeah,
I mean,
they would have
I know
to.
they're not.
Oakland would have
mathematically
Oakland
out,
would have to
but
lose all their games, and they'd have to win all their games, and that's not going to happen. So, but you know what? AL Manager of the Year,
Kevin Cash.
Kevin Cash or Melvin on the A's. I guess you have to go with Cash, right?
Well, the A's are going to make the playoffs with the second lowest payroll.
But Tampa Bay has the lowest.
Do they? Okay.
Oh,
I thought it was the Royals.
Who's making money on Tampa Bay? They traded Archer, and he
No
he
one.
was only making $2 million a year.
No one. No one's making money on.
Nobody is making money on Tampa Bay right now. Nobody's making money on the. Well, no, Moustakas was. Well, no, not anymore. They traded Moustakas.
I'm just saying. I mean, you got to give it to the guy who made the playoffs. But great job by Kevin Cash.
Yeah, I mean,
And maybe they can.
they started a new trend, with this bullpen game.
Yeah, the analytics.
Yeah,
which is fine.
they've been doing
We'll
this.
see how their players develop. Maybe they can make a run at the postseason next year.
I'll tell you what, when you have a guy like Blake Snell on the top of your rotation, and they've got a bunch of guys who hit for pretty high
Jake
average.
Bowers, I like. Joey Wendell, I like.
I like Matt Duffy. He's a tough hitter.
They have
He's always a tough out.
who's the guy? Wiley Adams.
And Kiermaier is not
Kiermaier.
bad. Kiermaier is
Kiermaier's
always
a
a
Gold
tough
Glove
out,
center fielder.
and he's a tough out. And he
So,
can run.
I mean,
they've
there's
got
a bunch of pests. That's
Yeah.
what Oakland is.
Well, Oakland's a little bit more than pests. They've got some guys they got some thumpers on that
Well,
team.
they're more of a power hitting team, whereas as the
I mean, Chris
Rays
Davis
are more
has
of an average
Chris
on-base
Davis.
team.
Chris Davis has 45 home runs and 114 RBIs. I mean, he's having just a ridiculous season. And then you look at like Olsen is having a huge year. Piscotty is finally coming through and being a real big time hitter. That Oakland batting lineup is loaded. And then you've got guys like Semien who can hit the ball.
Are you worried
Jed
about
Lowry.
the Yankees potentially losing the wild
Yeah,
card game?
damn right I am. And you should be. You can't listen. You can never take any game for granted.
I'm
It's
not
a
worried.
one.
I'm not worried about
It's a
it.
one-game series.
I think
okay,
you'll
if
be
the
fine.
Yankees have to go out to Oakland and play that game in Oakland, I am very worried about it. If they play in New York, I think the Yankees probably win. The other thing that would favor the Yankees in a game against Oakland is Oakland's playoff history is. Let's be honest, it's not
not
very
good.
No, they find ways to lose series all the time. Whether they're ahead 2-0 and lose 3-2, or whether they just get smoked and knocked right out. I mean, it just seems like
Well, they were loaded the one year. What was it? It was the 9/11 year when they played the Yankees and Derek Jeter had that flip.
yeah,
They had a loaded team.
yes they did, and the Yankees were old and looked like it was that was basically the last year for a lot of those guys to be champions, and the A's choked it away. Giambi was the only one who hit in that series for them.
Because they had Mulder, Hudson, and Zito,
That's right.
the big three. That was the
That's
year they
right.
won 20 games in a row, right?
Yeah, and they had Miguel Tejada, at short.
I believe he won the MVP that year.
I think you might. Was it him or Giambi? Because Giambi had an unbelievable season too.
I think he won one there too. Maybe it was.
Giambi had a major year. Giambi that year, and I'll tell you what, I happened to be at Game 5 that year when the Yankees beat Oakland, and Giambi in that championship game was 4 for 4. So, I mean, he had
He had a little help from that needle, but
yes, he was a cheater. I'm not. You can't. A lot of guys were though, because they weren't.
I understand a lot of guys.
Nobody was.
I call them out for cheating too.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying though that they didn't have any rules back then, which they should have. But Oakland, for whatever reason, always finds a way to not win
Because they don't
in the
pay for
playoffs.
players.
But they've had enough talent to win. Several times.
I mean,
several times they've had enough talent.
I don't think they're going to win the wild card game against the Yankees.
I don't think they will either, because I don't see who's going to start for them that's really going to shut them down. I mean, Fires is probably their ace. Anderson would be next up, unless they. Do you think they pitch a bullpen game? Because they got one of the best bullpens in baseball.
I guess they could.
I mean, they could pitch guys like they could pitch Fires for 2, and then throw Anderson out there for 2, and then mix it up with some of those awesome bullpen arms that they have. But boy, to do that in a playoff game, I don't know. That's really that's really stretching.
That'd be
it a
really
little bit.
stepping out on a limb, and because if they do that and it works in a one-game setting, there's going to be all kinds, especially the low-market teams, Kansas City.
Oh yeah, I mean
They're going to be doing that left
I'm
and
thinking,
right next
yeah,
year.
I'm thinking,
the Marlins.
Yeah, I'm thinking because
teams like that.
I'm thinking, would Oakland do something like that? And you, the fans, what do you guys think about that? Do you think that Oakland would do something like that against the Yankees? I mean, they don't really have that one pitcher that's going to stop the Yankee offense. But if you put these guys out there for 2 innings and tell them to go out there and empty the tank for 2 innings each, the Yankees might have trouble with that. They could, and the way things are setting up right now, it looks like J-Hap is going to be the one pitching the playoff game. J-Hap lifetime against Oakland absolutely owns them.
Wait. No, you're going to pitch Severino in a one-game playoff.
No, it looks like they're going to go with Hap.
That's ridiculous, and they deserve to lose.
If you look at the stats, though, Severino has gotten smoked by Oakland, and
So
Hap owns.
I don't want to look at your Facebook feed during that game. If Hap
I
doesn't
won't,
do
I
good,
won't listen.
and Severino is, you're going to leave Severino in the gun? It's like when Buck
I
Showalter
wanna
didn't
see-
bring in Britain
I want to see
that one year.
I want
He
to
got
see.
roasted. How can you not pitch Luis Severino in a one-game playoff? How can you not? How can you justify that
Because
to
he
your
wasn't,
fans if
he
you
wasn't,
lose?
But he wasn't good in the second half of the season.
Brad,
until the
you got to be
Boston
kidding
game.
me, man.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
You're not going to pitch Luis Severino in the one-game playoff? That's ludicrous.
from what I'm seeing, look, Rob, Hap pitched Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he pitched Sunday and then he pitched Friday, then he would pitch. It would be his turn to pitch on Wednesday.
If you don't pitch,
Severino's pitching tomorrow, Tuesday. So-
Severino's been pushed to the end of the week, I thought.
Oh, has he been? I thought he's pitching tomorrow.
I believe that's my computer died, so I can't
Okay.
look at it, but I believe he's been pushed to the end of the week, so he's only gonna make
Well,
one more,
if that's the
regular
case,
season
if that's
start.
the case, then it might be Severino. And listen,
which they clearly pushed him so he can pitch in the one. Brad, you can't have an ace like Severino. He's got maybe the best stuff in baseball, one of the best stuff in baseball.
he's had a rough second half.
You can't
though.
leave him. You can't leave him in the pen.
Well, it's
you
not
can't.
to say they would. They might. I mean,
You got to at least start him, and if he gets, obviously you have everyone on a short leash.
I think the
in
last
a one-game playoff.
I think the last 2 games of the season, the Yankees aren't gonna be pitching any of their top pitchers. I think that you could have Hap, Severino, and
you can't
and-
not
and-
start the game with Severino.
and Tanaka all available to you in that game. And if somebody looks shaky, they come right out. I mean, I could see that too, because remember the game's Wednesday, So, and the last game of the season's Sunday. So it means Monday and Tuesday are automatically free rest days. If they don't use any of their top pitchers Saturday or Sunday, then any one of them could come in and pitch that game. I mean, they could conceivably go Severino for 3 or 4, and then they could come back with Happ, and then they could go with Tanaka, and then.
But if you don't start
Betances and
Severino
Chapman.
in that game, I don't know. You're just leaving yourself open to all types of unnecessary criticism if you were to get upset.
Pitched well in actually
Brad,
his last
look,
two games have been
he's
good.
the best pitcher on the Yankees.
I don't disagree with you
How can you disagree with me?
because he's had a bad second half, and until the last 2 games against Minnesota and Boston, he looked to be back to his old self. What I would say is this: if he pitches well again against Tampa Bay, then I'm all in to start him, because that means to me 3 games in a row. Okay, I worry about him because last year he didn't pitch well against the Twins in the playoffs. He didn't really pitch all that great against Houston either in the playoffs. I worry about him in a big game because he hasn't really shown that yet. Tanaka, on the other hand, and Happ have both been there, have both won big games. Happ, as a Yankee, has just been unflappable. I mean, he's basically been their best pitcher since he came over. Now, I'll tell you what, the Yankees probably would not be ahead of Oakland right now if it wasn't for Happ. I mean, they'd be battling Tampa Bay for that last playoff spot.
Did you see Tiger over the weekend?
I gotta tell you, I was really happy to see him come back. Looks like he's healthy enough to play again, and
They got the Ryder Cup in France, which is a big deal. Team USA takes on Team Europe. Tiger on the U.S. team.
good.
But Justin Rose made a birdie on the 18th hole. If Justin Rose makes a par there, Tiger wins everything. He wins the FedEx Cup. He wins the Tour Championship. He gets the $10 million bonus.
Wow. I mean,
Wins everything.
is Tiger now in? Because you're more of a golf person.
Tiger's
than I.
playing
Is Tiger-
just as good as anybody in the world
Is
right
Tiger right now in the same class as the big guys?
now. Yes.
Can he drive
Yes.
the ball with the big guys?
Yes.
He can.
Yes.
Okay. 'Cause
I mean, his miss is high and right, but I mean, if he's putting, he's still one of the best iron players. He's probably the best iron player of all time.
and he's still a great putter, right?
He is right now, but Brad, this guy was
He could barely walk
this guy
for
was
a long
bit-
time. That's the problem.
He hasn't
I mean,
won since 2013. He
But
could
he's been
barely
injured.
walk.
He's been injured though.
He could barely walk at times in the time between that. He goes out the most exclusive elite field. There's only 30 players. Only the top 30 players in the FedEx Cup standings were allowed to play this weekend. Tiger was one of them. The fact that he was
Wow,
even in
the
the
fact
top
that
30,
The fact that he won a tournament with all those great players in there,
And he won-
that says a lot.
he won. He put a hurting on him. Like he won, but he didn't win by just 1 or 2 shots. He won by 4 shots,
I tell you, and how
5
great,
shots.
how great is this going to be for golf now?
It's phenomenal for golf. But
mean, that's
getting
huge.
back to with the kind of season he had, he was a bounce or 2 away from winning 2 majors this year.
Wow.
He was standing on the 12th tee in Scotland at the British Open with the outright lead. Didn't go his way down the stretch, and he ended up losing to Molinari, who played lights out.
He's 42 now, right?
And 42 or 43?
Yeah. That is not over the hill in golf.
No, not with the way these guys,
No.
not with the equipment these guys have and the way these guys work out. And the mess-
Golfers can golf.
And then
at an
and
elite
back to
status
him
till
almost
probably
winning
into
2
their
majors.
50s.
He was throwing darts on Sunday at the PGA Championship. Throwing darts, played absolutely phenomenal. He had a bad drive on the 16th or 17th hole, and Brooks Koepka played lights out and beat him by 2 shots, but extremely close to winning 2 majors.
I mean, as I said, it's good for golf. It's just good for sports to see him back on the winning trail. Really is. I mean, golf is a lot more exciting when Tiger Woods is in it. And
I've never
competitive in
seen a gallery gather on the 18th to watch a golfer like they have Tiger Woods.
As they
And
should,
bear
Rob.
in mind, this guy has proven not to be a great person,
Well, no, but
but people love him, and
'cause-
people love
because
golf.
because he's such a great player.
Phenomenal.
And he was
It's
such
great
a
for
great player.
golf.
And you know what? He's done some boneheaded things.
I think he leads the USA to a victory next weekend
well,
at the Ryder Cup.
I
as
hope
well.
so. I hope so. It would be nice to see
The
to see
United
other
States, the United States hasn't won on European soil since 1993.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that happen for once because it's been a long time coming.
And the European, they have some studs. They have some studs too. But the U.S. team is locked and loaded with Tiger playing better than anyone on
Who do you
the team.
expect to be the captain of the team? Tiger?
Well, Jim Furyk's the captain.
Furyk's
He's
the
not.
captain?
He's not a player. They have a veteran guy who's not
Oh, okay,
good
so they
enough to
don't-
play anymore.
Oh,
Sets
okay. That's how they
everything
do. That's how they do the
Yeah.
captain thing now. Okay.
But I mean, and also Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, Billy Horschel, amongst others, were on the. He went off the green, and all those guys were there to congratulate him. That doesn't really happen in men's golf. It happens
No,
in women's
but-
golf all the time.
But again, I think this is the kind of player though that let's be honest, because of Tiger Woods, these guys are making the kind of money they're making.
Absolutely.
And you know what? The fact that he won, that means that there's going to be higher purses again, no matter what. And you know what? There's going to be a lot more interest drummed up in golf, which means more money, more attendance.
I just
You
can't
know,
believe
the
how much of
the casual fan will watch more when Tiger Woods is competitive. I mean, I know as a casual golf fan, if I hear that Tiger Woods is in it on a Sunday, I'll probably turn the TV on and see what's going on with him.
Yeah, I checked in after.
You know,
After the Eagles.
after my football game, I'll check in and see what's going on. You know, I'm not going to necessarily watch that 4:00 game.
Unbelievable watching him walk up the 18th fairway with it in the back. I mean, there was still a question whether he was going to win the FedEx Cup and the $10 million, but he had the tournament in the bag, and unbelievable. He shot a 62 at Aronimink when it was in Philly. 62. He's playing just as good as anybody in the world. I expect him to be at the head of the line when it comes to the
Well,
Ryder
just-
Cup next
Just
weekend.
keep your fingers crossed that he stays healthy and his back feels good. And
His back looked plenty good Sunday on one of the toughest courses in the country. Against the best field in the
backs
country.
are a funny thing though, Rob. You know, I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm not,
choosing to be positive about my golf.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I'm rooting for that to happen for sure.
But anyway, Frank's giving us the wrap-up sign. Sports Hounds. We'll see you again next Monday. Jim Jackson in the first hour. Be live on Facebook, talking all Philly sports. Jim Jackson on the Sports Hounds.
And if you guys
next Monday.
if you guys got any questions that are pressing for Jim, we'll try to get him in for you.
Yeah, post them in the Real Talk group. Post them to me or Brad on Facebook or Frank or anybody.
And
Excited to have Jim Jackson
If we
on
like your
next one.
question, we will ask him.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that'll do it for the Sports Hounds. He's Brad. I'm Rob. Frank on the ones and twos. We'll see you next week.